Lying on your resume, conversations about mining. Hi, Jess. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks, Andrew. How are you today?
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you. So, I've got a question for you. Lying on your resume, not a good idea, huh?
Definitely not a good idea. And obviously, I'm in the business of writing resumes, and there's a very fine line between kind of elaborating on skills and kind of making them fit the transferable skills that mining companies are looking for to outright lying. And I've had a few experiences with it with candidates recently, doctoring their resumes and adding in operating experience that they did not have. And they got a job. They got an experienced dump truck operator job they walked into after making a whole job up on their resume, and having a mate do a fake reference, and they managed to breeze through. But once on site, it was very evident on the first day that this person had no idea what they were doing, and the trainer was wild, as was the recruiter. And yeah, she gave me a call and was just like, "Look, what is happening here?" And I said, "Look, I honestly don't know. As far as I know, that experience, wasn't on there when I created the resume. I'm really like sorry for you, you know." And
It's a
this
very
industry,
small industry.
very small industry. You might think, wow, there's 20,000 people applying for these roles, or, some of the experienced roles, say 500 to 1,000 people. But if you go onto site and the trainer and the supervisors and your fellow workmates, and then your recruiter from whichever company you've gone through, probably a labour hire company, so they'd be seeing thousands of people every week, all know now that you're full of shit and that you do not have any operating experience, you're going to struggle to find a job if anyone will ever give you the chance to operate machinery again on a mine site.
Yep.
So now and is back to kind of square one, trying to get entry level trade assistant or offsider roles. But whether this experience has kind of tarnished his reputation too much, and he may have to wait for a bit or try something else, he won't know for a little while, I'd say. So do not do it.
Yep.
Do not do it.
I see some other social media channels out there are asking the questions, and people come back with the response, "Oh, fake it till you make it," and all that sort of stuff. And people will say that, "Oh, I did it and my trainer was all right with it," and all that sort of stuff. Any trainer that's all right with it has got the screw loose in their head, because if you leave and they train you, even they know that you're not an experienced operator because they've basically had to train you like a new starter, and then you go and run over somebody, they're toast. I mean, they'll be spending time in jail. So whenever people give that advice out on the internet or social media pages, I'm always very suspicious of that advice. Sometimes people just make shit up, but it used to happen with us all the time with underground. I've got multiple stories about people showing up pretending that they were jumbo operators and air leg miners and all that sort of stuff, and they lasted 5 minutes. I was just telling Jess before we came on camera about a guy that showed up, and he was supposed to be a rise miner, but the book that he read, he must have learnt out of it, was a development drive. So instead of doing the rise mine, he sort of bolted the backs where he was supposed to put the rise, and he bored a hole in the side of the drive. He bored a drive cut in the side of the bloody drive there. And yeah, so he was off site straight away. And then he turned around and tried to sue them for wrongful dismissal. And then he also claimed that he got hurt on site and all sorts of wonderful stuff. But it was really clear that he didn't know what he was doing at all, that he'd read a book. He'd done a lot of research into it, but he just didn't really know what they were after and what was going on. So, yeah, it's just crazy how people think that they can fake it until they make it, especially in something like mining where, it's so strict and the rules are so tight. And the reason it is because if, somebody gets hurt, then the people in charge can end up in jail. Yeah, it's one of those industries that's really more regulated than a standard industry. So that's the reason why you end up having to do 2 weeks of inductions when you go to a site, because everybody's got to have their paperwork together, and they just can't import equipment tickets and procedures. They've got to do it all themselves so they can prove that they've trained you. And so if you rock up and they think that you've got experience and it turns out you don't, then, the insurance is void, everything's void. It just makes a big, big clusterfuck.
Yeah, you may think that you're a great. I drive trucks. I drive road trains. I could drive a dump truck. It's it's a big truck. It's the same. It's not the same at all. It's not the same. I had a chef come up when I was running a kitchen up north, and it's a really lovely guy from overseas, and he said, "Yeah, I'm qualified. I've got my Cert 4, and I've got this, and I've got that." And he couldn't even make mayonnaise. He couldn't scramble an egg. He honestly, I don't know how he thought. What he thought he was going to fake it, but he couldn't even really cook the basics. And I was like, wow, like this is crazy. And he was the same, window seat out, like see you later.
We had a very similar experience up at Darlow one time when the new chef arrived, and he only produced about a quarter of the amount of food that he should have. So yeah, I know. Yeah, there was rioting. There was like, well, if he's not going to do something, get him the fuck out of the kitchen and we'll get in there and cook ourselves. So, because he didn't want to cook anymore. He's like, oh, I've cooked what I'm supposed to cook. What are all these people? And yeah, like he was out in the next plane. So, but yeah, yeah, having the underground crew come back from work and the Bain Maries are all empty, not a good situation to be in.
Oh man, I wouldn't have wanted to be him for all the money in the world.
Yeah. Well, it was no joy being the shift boss either. Trying to have to walk into that. My 12 hours is over.
Another area that I find that this happens a lot is admin roles. So FIFO admin roles, a lot of the time people will just put down that they know how to use InXS or SAMS or InFlight or whatever other of the mobilization or flight booking systems that they use. And because they think, well, I've done an admin job, I can use these, these programs. It's not going to be too hard. It's not that they're hard. It's exactly the same as Andrew says about underground. They need you to hit the ground running. They need you to be able to start that admin role, do your inductions, and bang, be in there, smashing out flights and mobilizing people to site and figuring out man hours and days and numbers and catering and all of that stuff. You need to be able to jump in there and do that straight away. It's not because they think that you're dumb and you're not going to be able to do it. They just need someone who can actually do it and utilize those programs. And I see that a lot as well. People will say, oh no, I've studied it online and I use programs like this all the time, and they literally go in and last for like a swing, and they get axed or they don't go back because it's too stressful. So that's another thing. Don't lie. If you want to get into one of the roles and you don't know the pathway, give us a call.
Yep. Yeah, we can help. But yeah, no, the golden rule is don't lie. Once you get caught lying, that's pretty much it. It's hard because the whole thing's built on trust, and that's why even if you think the boss doesn't want to hear what you're about to say, you're probably better off telling them the truth than trying to gild the lily on it all.
Definitely.
Yep. Cool. Well, so that's a sucky thing to have to talk about, but I feel that we really did need to talk about that, unfortunately, because there are a lot of people lying on their resumes around the place, and where you can spend a little bit of money and educate yourself. You don't have to lie about that sort of stuff. You can educate yourself before you go. So yeah. But if you've got any more questions like that, please send them through, and if you could share the video around and like and subscribe to the channel.
Thank you.
Thanks.